everybody to the floor mess that I've made, and to Gmail and more. And today we're going to talk about Gmail and hopefully more. Now, I need to tell you a story before we get started. I need to tell you about my dad. True story about my dad. My dad worked for a company that you've probably all heard of before. It's called Arthur Andersen. They were involved in the Enron scandal, if you know anything about that kind of tech. So Arthur Andersen was involved in the Enron scandal. My dad used to work for Arthur Andersen. Then Arthur Andersen, it ceased to be, as we know that. So Arthur Andersen ceased to be, and he had to send out his resume. He had to send out his resume, and he was going to get a new job. Now he has a very, very impressive resume. He worked for Arthur Andersen. He was a partner and all that. He sent out his resume, Bill Shillington address and everything like that, and his email address was shillingtoe@aol.com. Now, let me tell you something. The people that are sitting in and looking at the resumes first, do you know how old they are? My age. The people that are sorting through these resumes and doing all that are my age. When he sent out his resume with shillingtoe@aol.com, what do you think they did with his resume? They put it in the circular file. That's exactly where they put it. They put it in the circular file. Your email address and the email address you used is a way that people judge you. You all think they judge you via your clothes and everything like that. Honestly, they judge you. We sent his resume back out to the same place with a Gmail address, and guess what? He got interviews. If you want to apply to my iLounge, to work in my iLounge, this is a true story, and you hand me a resume with a Yahoo address, I say there are no openings. It's the truth. Because here's the thing to understand. I want to give you the email rating system, and then I'm going to go into Gmail and how we do that. But I want to give, and this is a true email rating system. When you're talking about email ratings, we all know the grades A, B, C, D, E, not E, A, B, C, D, F, right? A failing grade. A failing grade, believe it or not, people still have email providers that have not been relevant since 1999. I was in Alaska a few years ago. Lady comes up to me, she goes, I need to get my email. I go, who's your email provider? She goes, Juno. I look at her and I say, I know where we are today. Who's your email provider? She then says, Juno. Oh, God. That's a failing grade. A D, I already found an SD card in the bottom of my bag. Sorry, Bill.
Not on to exercise.
No, you don't have to. He doesn't have to go to the gym today. He hasn't gone for the past week anyway, let's be honest. Had him go in the first week. Second week, oh, I'm too tired. We went in all day in court. I don't feel like going to the gym. Okay, sorry. So, where were we at? We were talking about Juno, which is a place in Alaska, not an email provider anymore. But people still have Juno and Earthlink and Netscape and all these people that haven't been relevant since the previous century. That's a failing grade in email providers. Then you have a D, which is still a failing grade. Comcast, Cox, Bell, Shaw, TELUS, any of your actual providers that you have an email address with. I want to tell you why. Number one, those email addresses are prioritized to only work well on networks that are owned by Comcast, or by Bell, or by Shaw, or by TELUS. Number two, here's the very important thing. This is the most important thing to understand here. Comcast wants you to use their email address because it increases your switching cost. What that means is you're much more unlikely to switch away from Comcast if you have all of your information in your Comcast email. Does that make sense? Even if something cheaper comes around, you're much more likely to stay with Comcast and pay double the price because something cheaper will come around. Comcast is not going to live in monopoly world forever. And when that happens, it's going to be a wonderful day, but we can't go there quite yet. No, not Apple. I think it's going to be Google, but that's another story completely for another time. It's going to be Google. But when you're talking about that, that's a D. A C would be AOL or Yahoo. Now, how many of you have AOL accounts? How many of you are still paying monthly for your AOL account? AOL's been free for about 11 years. I always get someone that's still been paying monthly. If you don't want to volunteer that you're paying monthly, you are the reason that AOL is staying alive. Anybody got a Yahoo account? Now, the great thing about Yahoo is everyone else in the world can access your Yahoo email except you. I'm going to tell you, there are more Yahoo accounts that have been hacked than there are people that are currently on this planet. There's been 9 billion Yahoo accounts hacked. Put that in perspective for a second real quick. 9 billion Yahoo accounts hacked, about 7.5 billion people in the world. Yahoo is one of the most insecure platforms in the world. They just fired their CEO the other day, and as a bonus for driving Yahoo into the ground, she gets $24 million. So just as she did a great job. And then you have, the last one we want to talk about is what we call hot fail. Now, Hotmail is also Hotmail, if you've heard of it. And you'll notice that Hotmail is no longer called Hotmail, is it? It's called Outlook. Now, do you know why they changed the name of a company? Do they change the name of a company when it's doing a good job? No. They don't change the name of a company when it's doing a good job. Hotmail got hacked really badly about 2 years ago. And they said, well, instead of just canceling the product, we're going to call it Outlook.com and make it a new product. I'll give you an example of another company. You know that Comcast doesn't call their service Comcast anymore. They call it Xfinity. It's just as bad. It's just as bad by another name. So Hotmail, you know, I call it Hotmail. Hotmail has gotten hacked to smithereens, and it's done. And what Hotmail's done is they're rebuilding their service right now as a paid service. So if you have Hotmail and you are a free Hotmail member, what do you think is going to eventually happen to your free account? Both AOL and Yahoo have been purchased by Verizon. Verizon did not buy AOL and Yahoo to make sure you continue getting your email. They bought AOL and Yahoo so that they can compete directly with Facebook. They want to be able to compete directly with Facebook. That's why they purchased AOL and Yahoo. It is clearly in their terms and conditions that they have the full rights, and trust me they will, to delete all of your emails from AOL and Yahoo at any time. When you guys sign up for these email services, you'll see you sign up and it says, do you agree to the terms and conditions? And we don't read it. And it says, are you sure you read and agreed to the terms and conditions? And we go, sure. AOL, Yahoo, and Hotmail, to give you an idea, along with a bunch of other providers, say very clearly in their terms and conditions that if you leave your home network, you have no guarantee of receiving email. You can read this. This is in their user license agreement. So what happens is, the frustration that happens to me is every single day someone comes to me and says, my email isn't working, and I say, who's your provider? And you know what's never said? Gmail. You know what's always said? AOL, Yahoo, Hotmail, any of those like that. Now I want to explain to you why. So I think this is very important to understand. Most of our email addresses, including mine, starting back in the day, were AOL, correct? Most of our email addresses were AOL back in the day. If you're from the States, even if you're from the UK, did they have AOL in Canada?
Yes.
Yeah, they had AOL in Canada. And you remember, you'd have to dial up. So in your area code, you'd have a whole bunch of numbers you'd dial to, and you'd go, okay, so, and if you got a bad number, and it wasn't working well, you'd go to another number, right? Yeah, okay, I'll go to another number. Here's the thing. The internet still works just like that. We don't dial up anymore, but you still have to get to the shortest point between two locations as a straight line. That's why when I was doing Siri yesterday, it was near instant. When I've been doing all these Google photo things and all that, it's near instant, because here's what you need to realize. Google Photos and Google and Gmail have thousands of servers all over the world. AOL and Yahoo each have about 3. And why that is all of you in this room killed AOL. You killed Yahoo. You killed Hotmail. Because do you know how they used to pay for their email? They were a search engine, and they would pay for their email by being a search engine. AOL, when you searched on AOL, they used to make money when you searched and you clicked on ads and stuff like that. Yahoo was a search engine as well, as was Live.com. That was a search engine as well. Now, where do we all search with? Google. Everyone in this room killed all of these providers. That's the whole concept. So when you're accessing AOL, you're accessing Yahoo, you're accessing Hotmail, you have a very small amount of servers all over the world to hit. You've got 2 in the US and 1 in the UK. That's it. That's why it takes forever to get your email from those providers. When you do anything with Google, you do anything with YouTube or anything like that, you've got hundreds of places all over the world, because Google, I guarantee most of you in this room have never paid Google a cent. But you use Google every day. Your value on average to Google is about $150 to $200 a year. What I mean by that is in ads they serve you and things you click. If you type in Caribbean cruise, how many of you, let's just take for fun, typed in Caribbean cruise into Google to find this cruise? Okay, he's going to be honest with me. Now, okay, I'm very confused by that, but we'll get to that in a little bit. How many of you typed in Caribbean Cruise? You typed in Caribbean Cruise. Do you know that Celebrity paid to be at the top, followed by Royal Caribbean, followed by Princess? There's no such thing as random in Google. Google search is what pays for all of what I'm about to show you. So if you already have a Gmail account, still I want you to pay attention, but I'm going to tell you by the beginning of next year, Hotmail will be a paid service, fully, and AOL and Yahoo will not exist anymore. Now, the thing is, I'm trying to get you guys all transitioned over before that happens. Because when AOL and Yahoo go, are they going to go slowly and they're going to tell you they're going and everything like that? Or are they just going to go one day and go crash and burn? I mean, if you use AOL or Yahoo, you've noticed that they've already crashed and burned. I mean, it takes forever to do anything because the short system should 2 points. So at this point in the class, I'd like to, before we start with Gmail, I'd like to propose a toast with my new flask I just got. I love this. No, I got this in the gift shop. They're wonderful. They just got them on board. I just bought a couple more because I love it. It actually has a built-in shot glass. They had one more left when I went and bought it before lunch. This is to the end of AOL, Yahoo, and Hotfail. And to new beginnings for you all with your Gmail accounts. And Facebook as well. And just a little bit out on the bottom there for Comcast going away. Okay, there we go. All right, cheers to that. They have these in the gift shop. They're $30. They're fantastic. I bought 3 of them already. Yeah, there's one left, so you guys can fight each other. So, how many of you have a Gmail account already? Okay, good. This is not going to alienate you. Okay, but here's the question. How many of you have a Gmail account and use that Gmail account as your primary account? Okay, that's a lower number. Okay. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the way to do this, and I'm going to show you how to set it up, because I want to show everybody how to set it up. But we're going to talk about some things along the way, and then I'm going to show you how to actually be accessing your email. So the first thing you're going to ask is when you go to gmail.com, it's going to ask you to create an account, and you're going to put in your first name and your last name. Hopefully we all know that. Now, very important, you cannot be Bill and Judy Smith at gmail.com. You must be an individual person for what I'm going to explain a little bit later on. So you need to be Bill Smith at gmail.com and Judy Smith at gmail.com. I know half of you in this room were Bill and Judy Smith at Comcast.net back in the day. Sorry. So we got Bill Smith, and we need to make a username. Now, are you going to get your first choice in username? Probably not. So I think they have some of the dogs from America's Got Talent on in the back. Those are the AOL accounts. I don't know where the dogs are when. I think the expression is, who let the dogs out? I legitimately have no clue where the dogs are. We'll deal with that at a later time. So, you're going to go ahead and you're going to make an email account. I know who's doing the dogs. We're going to make an email account. Are you going to get your first choice? No. Are you going to get your second choice? No. Are you going to get your 17th choice? Maybe. Very, very important. When you make your username, do not put your birthday or your birth year in your username, because that's how you get your account hacked. So you're going to make it, it's going to turn not red, and it's going to be, okay, that account is okay to use. Then we need to create a password. Very important. Your Gmail password needs to be different than every other password you use. This is why. Let's take your Apple account or your bank account. If you forget your password for your Apple account or your bank account, where do they send the new password to? Your Gmail account. So as soon as someone hacks your email account, guess what they've hacked? Everything. Everything. So you need to make a unique password for Gmail. That unique password needs to have a capital letter, a lowercase letter, a number, and a symbol. It's not as hard as it sounds. I'm going to explain to you how I do it. I'm going to give you the first 4 characters of my Gmail password. It's capital R, lowercase L, $. My initials are RLS, so it's capital R, lowercase l, $, and then the number 3. I'm not giving you the rest of the password, but that's just to give you an idea when we create our password and we confirm our password. The next thing we need to put in is our birthday, which is our real birthday. Google does not care how old you are. I say that because people make up birthdays, and when they make up birthdays, and then they forget their password, and Google asks them for their birthday, they don't know which made-up birthday they put in. This is a true story. Okay. So you're going to make a birthday. Then it's going to say gender. I am male, female, other, or rather not say. Up to you. Doesn't matter. The next thing you're going to put in, this is why I showed this on the last day, because you generally will need to do this from home. You're going to put in your mobile phone number. If you don't have a mobile phone, the 21st century is calling. Landlines are not the way of the future. Okay. But you put in your mobile phone number. In the case if you forget your password, it'll send a text message to your phone and it'll let you reset your password. It'll ask for your current email address. Most of you in this room with AOL or Yahoo addresses or Hotmail addresses can just ignore that, because that won't be relevant much longer. Okay. So that's fine. And then the last thing it's going to ask is, what country are you in? And for some reason it now says I'm in Aruba. That's unique. Okay. So then once we do that, we're going to have a Gmail account, and this is my Gmail account. Now, the greatest thing about Gmail is it will automatically filter out the emails about making things bigger or making things smaller. Yes. You won't get things bigger, things smaller, little blue pill. I know if you have a Yahoo or an AOL account, it is so easy to buy Viagra, but trust me, it's better when you're not advertised that every single day. So it will also automatically break down your emails. So you'll see I have my primary tab, which is emails from people. So I have 102 emails. You're going to see in a couple minutes. I have 102 emails in my Gmail, but I only have one email I actually care about. And it automatically sorts that out. My assistant sent me an email, and it says EC Macologist, and it says something in the email. He sent me something. Let me see what it says. It says, okay, I'm not going to read what it says. Good thing it's blurry. But I can go ahead, and I've got that right there on the screen, and that's primary. Now the next tab it has, this is all made automatically. Now some of you with a Gmail account are saying, I never have seen that before. I'm going to show you how you get this. The next tab says social. This is all of my emails from Facebook, from Twitter, from LinkedIn, from all of those places like that. I never have to tell it. It will automatically put all of those emails there. Does that make sense to us all? Now we have two tabs. One says promotions and one says updates. So what are promotions? That's companies trying to sell you things. What's the difference between a promotion and an update? Promotions is company trying to sell you things. Updates is once you've already bought things from the company. Does that make sense to us all? That's the main concept. So if Apple advertises a new iPhone, that's going to show up in promotions. When I buy that new iPhone, it's going to show up in updates. So when I buy that iPhone, it shows up in updates. When that iPhone ships to me, it shows up in updates. When I don't happen to be home to sign for the FedEx box of the iPhone that decided to come at 10 o'clock in the morning when I was still sleeping, that shows in updates. Now the last tab, which I very rarely use, but I'm sure a lot of you in this room use it, is forums. Do I need to use Cruise Critic? Dogs. I'll find the dogs eventually. But updates. So you get forums. You get all these different forum information right there on the screen. Now some of you that are sitting with a Gmail account say, well, that's nice. I'm not seeing those things in my Gmail account. And that's because you're using Gmail incorrectly, which is what I want to show you. Give me just a few seconds. I need to open something up. So Gmail should not be used in the Mail app. You know that little blue Mail app that you see on your iPhone or your iPad? A lot of us will use Gmail in this app right here that says Mail. This is not the way that Google wants you to use Gmail. It is in Google's terms and conditions. Have any of you in this room read Google's terms and conditions? I have. Google's terms and conditions says when you're accessing your email on an Apple device, you should be accessing it through the Gmail application. It's a free application in the App Store. Now, if you look at my normal email application, I have 110 emails. If you look at my Gmail application, I have one email. And it just shows me the email from a single person. Does that make sense? So if I go into this Gmail application, I can see that. And I can see my primary, I can see my promotions, I can see my updates, I can see my forums, I can see everything laid out right there. It's a free app on the App Store. It's available for iPhone, for iPad, it's already on Android. On your computer, to get this sorting, you just have to go to gmail.com and look at it exactly like I'm looking at it on my screen. You go to gmail.com and you are good to go. Now, a lot of people, any of you use the actual Gmail app already? Okay. Now, here's the important thing though, you must still keep the Blue Mail app set up. Because if you take a picture with your phone and you want to email that picture to somebody, it's got to go out through the Blue Mail app. Does that make sense? It's got to go out through the Blue Mail app because that's what's linked into the phone. But you don't have to use the Blue Mail app, you can hide it in a folder somewhere. This will get rid of all of your spam problems because it will only tell you when you have an email from someone important. And
You have 2 Gmail accounts in that?
you can have 7 Gmail accounts in that. Yeah.
So where on the iPad are those headings? Because
Those headings should be on the side here. We can look at it later. Don't worry about it. Those headings should be on the side there, and you'll see when you sign in, you get all those headings right there. But here's the question we have. So I've shown you how to set up a Gmail account. I've shown you how to use the Gmail account. But here's the question: how do we get people to switch over from our Comcrap account to our Gmail account, or from our Hotmail account to our Gmail account? As of right now, I make that statement as of today, you can import things over from these providers. Now, as of a few months ago, Yahoo actually shut that off. Yahoo did not allow you to import into other providers, didn't allow you to export. Do you know why? Because they were hemorrhaging users and they had no value left in the market anymore. So it's very likely that a lot of these companies are not going to allow you to do what I'm showing you for very much longer. So I want you to get on this as soon as possible. Gmail will allow you to bring in all of your old email from any old email provider, as well as all of your old contacts, as well as new email for 30 days. I want to show you how that works. We go up to the little gear tab that's in the corner. We hit on settings. And there's going to be a tab that says accounts and import. And this is all in the little sheet that you've got there. And it's going to ask you to type in your email address on the back of the sheet. It's going to ask you to type in your email address, your current one, your Comcast, anything like that. You're going to type that in. It's going to ask you to type in your password. You're going to type that in. It's going to bring in all of your old email. And most of the time, it's going to bring in all of your folders from that old email provider as well. Not all the time, but most of the time it'll bring in all the folders. As well as it's going to bring in all of your contacts. As well as it's going to bring in new email going to that email provider for 30 days. It is designed as a transition tool. It's not designed to work forever and ever and ever. So it brings over all of your historical email. What it does is it pretends it's a new iPhone, and on the Google side sucks in all of your email. Does that make sense there? So that's what it does there, and it transitions over. Now, so we got that, it brings it over, so it's going to bring in all of your old email, which you won't have access to once these companies go away. You do realize that, right? And Google's not going away because there's only one company that can actually afford to buy Google, and that's Apple. And Apple would have to spend 95% of the money they're worth to buy Google. So they're not going to buy Google. They can't. So you don't need to worry about Google going away. I say something that's very groan-inducing. I apologize for what I'm about to say, but I am going to say it. I don't see anybody overtaking Google as the #1 email provider in your lifetime. It's possible in mine. But I don't see that happening. I know I already apologized for it. It's okay. But I think Gmail's going to be around very well for the rest of your lifetimes. I'm not 100% sure on mine. It might be Facebook or someone else. Now, here's the loaded question I have to answer, and then we're going to move on from the Gmail, and I'm going to show you the more part, because I got a couple things from the more. Loaded question I have to answer. Okay, we've changed our email. How do I let people know that I've changed my email? And here's the really cool thing. You don't need to. Here's the weird thing. Let me give you the concept so you can understand the concept. The way all email, I'm gonna actually open up on my phone. Let me grab my phone. The way all email programs work nowadays is it will send mail. This is why it's important that you use your real name. Remember I said you have to use your real name? When you hit to compose a message, it will send mail to the last email address that that person emailed you from. So, when I go in and I go to Gmail, if I want to write a message to me, it's going to show me all of these email addresses. Now, my old email address is rickshill@gmail.com. It still exists, but I don't really use it anymore. My new email address, you all have it on the back of that sheet, is richard@gotrichard.com. When I type in Richard, do you notice which one shows up first? Gotrichard.com, because that's the last email I emailed myself from. When you generally email people, you type in their names, correct? It will automatically transition that over. Will there be stragglers that are still sending things to your AOL and your Yahoo and your Hotmail account? Yes. Is it better to catch those stragglers while AOL, Yahoo, and Hotmail still exist? Yes, because when they don't exist anymore, what's your option? Never hearing from those people. So what's cool is this does not touch your existing account. It helps you transition over. Does that make sense? It doesn't touch your existing account. It helps you transition over. The hard part is not getting people. The hard part is every company you do business with, you need to go in and you need to change your registered email address with those companies. So that is something that you do have to do. You have to go in and you have to change your registered email address with all those companies. Does that make pretty good sense to everyone there? So you need to go into iTunes and you need to say, I have a new email address. You need to go to your bank and say, I have a new email address. Because here is the absolute worst possible scenario that can happen, will happen, and does happen. When I told you about Hotmail about 2 years ago, about 2 years ago, I thought that would be kind of amusing. I told you about Hotmail about 2 years. I'm going to show you what did that in a second. I'm going to show you about Hotmail about 2 years ago. I had a whole bunch of people that had their Apple account done on their Hotmail account. Their Hotmail account was hacked, right? They couldn't change the password on their Apple account. When they tried to sell their iPad, they couldn't remove the Find My iPad from the Apple account. And guess what it became? A paperweight. You could hold the door open with the iPad. You couldn't do anything with it. If you don't have an email account that's in existence and you don't switch everything over, you're going to get to a point where you have to change your password, and it's going to say, we've sent the password recovery to your AOL account, and AOL has become Verizon, and Verizon shut down all of AOL servers, and what do you think happens at that point? That's what I don't want to see happen to you. That's why I'm teaching you this right now, if that makes sense. That's the entire point of what we're doing here, is I don't want that to happen to you. So people will get it automatically. When you put in their names and companies, you'll have to go in and manually change all the company info, but you can go in and manually change company info, and you can take some time to do that. I want you to do this while there's still time. I know. So I'll give you an example. This has already been announced. I'm not telling any secrets, but I already see this coming in my future. On the new Celebrity Edge class ship, as part of the Celebrity Cruises app, you're going to be able to get the daily program and different things on the Edge class. It may roll back to the Solstice class, but you're going to be able to get the daily programs and all those things on the Edge class. To get those daily programs and all those things, you're going to need to download the Celebrity app, which you need your Apple password in order to do. I know I'm going to have people that have their Apple account set up on their AOL account. By the time the Edge rolls out, they're going to have forgotten their Apple password because they've never bought an app before. They're going to have their AOL account set up. I'm going to say I need to send their forgotten password to the AOL account, and what happens? It's gone. That device is a paperweight. AOL and Yahoo will not be around through the end of this year. They're going to be absolved into Verizon's system. Now, whether Verizon's going to forward you to Verizon.net or not is another question entirely, but your email address will change by the end of this year if you're an AOL or Yahoo user. So guess what? You might as well change to the best email provider in the world. Like I said this earlier in the cruise, when you want to switch to a new email provider, you have 3 choices. Your first choice is Gmail, right? Your second choice, if you don't like Gmail, is Gmail. And your third choice, if you really don't like Gmail, is Gmail, because they are the only company providing email that is still financially solvent. Does that make sense? They're the only company that's still making money that does email. Now, your other option, if you want to communicate with people, is something like Facebook, which is what we talked about a bit earlier in the cruise, to give you a little idea. But that is just a little perspective on Gmail. So I will take about a minute or two of questions if you got it, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of the more stuff. Yeah, see you right back there.
I belong to an organization that uses Yahoo groups to teach lessons, to teach classes. Will Yahoo groups go?
All of that's going away. The only thing Verizon cares about with Yahoo, and they've said this publicly, is Flickr and Yahoo Sports, the fantasy sports thing. Everything else is going to go away.
So what should we use for that?
We can take that offline. That's a loaded question. Yeah.
I have TV, internet, and phone.
So here's the thing. You have TV, internet, and phone all through Comcast. We're not shutting through Opt-Online. Okay. Opt-Online is even worse than Comcast. Okay, let's. No, let me tell you why. Because Opt-Online is only in a very specific geographic area. It's in the northeastern United States. Comcast is all over the U.S. So when we talk about servers, you know how many they have? One. I will tell you the funny thing. When you want to know who's a bad service provider, if you go to ComcastSucks.com, as someone just said, that will actually forward you to Comcast's main website, because they bought it so no one else would. You can get to Optimum Sucks and all that. This does not shut down your Optimum service. This is just an email provider. You can continue to use your Optimum service. Now, in the future, once everybody has a Gmail account, what that does for all of these service providers, it removes something called the switching cost. When you remove the switching cost, you're going to be willing, if Google came in your area and offered TV and phone and internet for a quarter of the price that they're offering it, would you switch to Google? But you wouldn't if you were still reliant on that old email address. My goal is to decrease your switching cost. This class is something that nobody in the world wants me teaching, because it really hurts companies like Comcast and Verizon and all those like that, because they want you trapped to those email providers. You don't need anything to use a Gmail account other than an internet connection. Another thing I'll tell you is I've had absolutely no one come to me this cruise with their Gmail account and say, this isn't working, I can't get my email. Every other provider has been nothing but that. Honest truth is, the reason I'm switching you all to Gmail is so I can sleep more. Because Gmail just works. So I can actually sleep more if you all have Gmail, because those of you who have a Gmail account, no issues. You go out in port, you go anywhere, it just works. And all of these other ones are a nightmare. Got time for two more? One, and I'll take it.
Explain again, how do we let the company, Apple or maybe
So you go, no, so you have to sign into your Apple account. So you sign into your Apple account or your Bank of America account, and you just go into your personal info, and it'll say your email address. You just hit edit, and you change your email address. Sometimes when you change that, though, I want to be very, very specific with this. Sometimes when you change that, it requires you to verify it from the old email address. So you need to do it now while that old email address still exists. Does that make sense?
Behind the post, Richard.
I see you behind the post. Yep.
What if you have an iCloud email account?
So we talked about this the other day. There's nothing bad with iCloud. The problem is iCloud limits you to that 5 gigs of storage that's available on iCloud, and you can't keep your emails forever. I've had Gmail for coming on 14 years, and I have never deleted a single email. I just mark them as read. I never delete anything. If you have iCloud, it's not bad, but that 5 gigs of storage can be used for far better things. That's my opinion. So I'm not going to knock iCloud. I'm just going to say iCloud is limited to your account storage on iCloud. Does that make sense there? It's limited to your account storage on iCloud. I want to move on to the more. I will take as many Gmail questions after the class is needed, but I brought a couple of things just to show you, a couple of really cool gadgets. I don't think I've shown this yet. No. I had a lady who was sitting right here a couple years ago. She comes to me. She goes, I have an idea for a company. Have any of you ever seen the show Shark Tank? So I showed you this already. Oh. I'll show the rest of you. I brought both of them this time, though. I didn't bring... So, I might have shown this to you. Did I show you the gloves, too? Yeah. I forgot the gloves, and I got something I haven't shown you. I forget after 14 days, you know. But these are pretty cool. These are Swarovski crystal iPhone cases. And she actually got an investment from the Sharks. And she makes a nice amount of money selling Swarovski crystal embedded. Wow. If you have to ask, you can't afford it. She also makes fake ones. This one's fake. It looks just as pretty. I mean, it weighs double the price, double the weight of the iPhone, but it's a beautiful case. No, the real ones run about $600 or $700. They run about the price of the phone. And I'm just like to show this because I think they're really quite cool, because someone actually invented them sitting right here. No, I'm not going to pass him around. But I know I didn't show him yet, did I?
No.
So I want to leave you with this is my favorite More toy. We've talked about apps, we've talked about gadgets, we've talked about everything. This was my old desk ornament down in my crew area office until I didn't have a crew area office anymore because people used to come in and want to play with my toys all the time. Can you go get that? I have no clue where it is.
Someone's ringtone.
Someone's ringtone. No, he knows where he put it. So this is... I'm going to show you what that is. It just keeps going off. But this is my BB-8. And when I went to buy this, they asked me, they said, are you purchasing this for a child? And I responded, of course I'm purchasing it for a child. But it's called the BB-8. And what's cool is this is kind of showing you the future of what's going to replace remote-controlled cars. So this is actually a remote-controlled car. I'm going to put it up on the screen real quick. So I got this guy right here, and this is how BB-8 was actually done in the movie. I'm going to let it connect. Come on. There we go. We're connected. Initializing. Huh? Come on. Drive. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I know how to play the game. And now we go. About 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night because I play with my toys. Now here's the thing. I don't believe that that's nerdy enough.
I want one.
Oh no, I'm going to take it one step further. Hold on, I got to take my watch off to do this because I have to put on this other watch.
Is that only a Android?
No, it works on iPhone. It's a droid. That is an Android. If you know anything about the Star Wars universe, but what's really cool is I can not only use it with my phone, I can use the Force. So let's let this work. Give it a second. Yeah, this is really nerdy. Here we go. All right, here we go. So I'm not using my phone. I'm going to use the Force. And then if I want to bring it back, if I want to bring it back to using the Force, I go. It's really cool. He runs about $120 or so to give you a little idea. But I love him. He's a really cool. Be quiet.
No.
Bad droid. Bad droid. And I showed these, but I do want to show these one more time because these are the nerdiest things I own. I have to show these one more time. Why did I open my Facebook? I guess I hit a button. These are the nerdiest things I own. I showed these before, but I know some of you are going back to very warm weather tomorrow. I know I don't usually show these in first class, but I'm going to show you these once more. If you've seen them already, these are my special gloves. You've probably seen touchscreen gloves before that you can touch through the screen. You've probably all seen that before. I know some of you are going, you know where I'm going to be this time, like 5 days from now? It's called Bonaire. It's a wonderful place. I'm sure you've all heard of it before. It's called Bonaire, and then I'll be in Curacao, and then Aruba, and it's going to be wonderful. And you'll be at a nor'easter, so I'll give you this little tip. These are really cool. These are touchscreen gloves, but the also other cool thing they could do is if you're wearing the gloves and you get a phone call, you just go like this, and you've got a speaker and a microphone right in the gloves. So there's a speaker up here and there's a microphone, and you can give yourself a little call. It's very, very...
Where do you buy those, Richard?
Where do you buy these? I bought them. Any from Canada?
Yeah.
You know, you had some store, I think it was called The Source. It was Radio Shack. Am I right in that? Are they still in business?
Still around.
That's where I bought them, was in The Source. But they also sell them on Amazon for like $10, $12, to give you an idea. Yeah?
Was there something you said yesterday about a Wi-Fi flash drive?
Yeah, you know, let's see. I don't have my watch on. This is actually really cool. I'll show you this. I'll actually end with this one today. I want to let you know those dogs that were making noise. This was to remind me about one of my favorite gadgets. It's called the JBL Extreme. It's also called How to Annoy Your Neighbors in plenty of different ways. Or as I call it professionally, the big ass speaker. So I'm going to show you the wireless flash drive in a second. I just got to give it a couple seconds to boot up. But I do want to remind you, if you do have onboard credit, the iLounge on Deck 6, people don't find this out until after the cruise is over. We accept onboard credit in the iLounge. So if you're looking for a new iPad or you want to get yourself your own big ass speaker or anything like that, we're going to be open until 9 o'clock tonight. So we'll be open from 2. Well, my watch is there. So.
Who let the dogs out?
Who? Bad. But I'll show you one last thing today. I want to show you the wireless flash drive. This is a flash drive right here that I can connect to my iPhone. It doesn't have a USB, but you can use it with an iPhone, an iPad, an Android, anything like that. I'm glad you mentioned it. It's called the SanDisk Connect wireless flash drive. And what's cool is I put content on here with a USB. So I have my USB that I put on here, and then I can automatically connect it up to my phone. So to work with a computer, with an iPhone, with an Android, anything like that, I can actually go ahead and back up my entire camera roll from my phone. If remember how we talked about I have the power button. So I can back up the entire camera roll of my phone or my tablet to here. So it's an additional backup, kind of like Google Photos. I have the entire camera roll backed up. But I can also store movies. If you're going on a plane and you have a lot of movies, this is a great way to increase the storage on your device. I don't sell these on board. I wish I did because I would have all of your onboard credit. What? But I do have a very nice file inside of here that's been put in by mistake. It's called Sexy Naked Dancing. I'm really not sure what it is.
María Malea, y Rosalía, no me quiere. A la boqueta de que estaba enamorado, ya no me queda logrado, mi corazón no lo tiene.
That's the dog. It's called the SanDisk Connect wireless flash drive. It's from a company called SanDisk. It's really cool, and this is 200 gigs of extra storage on your phone, on your tablet, for your computer. It's also a wireless flash. This is the whole unit. There's no magic tricks going on here. This is the whole unit. So, I wanted, what? How much? About $100. About $100 there.
It takes Excel and all that.
It takes all that junk. What? I had one thing to show you. SanDisk wireless flash drive. SanDisk Connect wireless flash drive. So I want to remind you one more time, everything we've done this cruise will be here. And what we do for remaining of cruises until they tell me to stop doing it will still be on that site as well. Now, I will tell you, over this cruise, if you've been to everything, you've been to about 22 different courses that we've done over this cruise. That is more technology education in 2 weeks than is offered anywhere in the world, and I pride myself on that. Everything you have seen is my disturbing creation. I like to say I put the fun in dysfunction. Put the fun in dysfunctional. If you enjoyed what went on, please feel free to let people know. You've got your comment cards. If you didn't enjoy, my mom said if you have nothing nice to say, you don't say anything at all. If you didn't enjoy, go to Holland America. They got Microsoft there. It's true. My name is Richard. My assistant is Handsome Ron. It's been a pleasure to be with you for the last 2 weeks. Enjoy your trip home. Bye.